This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. We're down at Dale Youth Gym today. With me, Frank Bruno. Frank, firstly, how are you?
Grand Canyon, man, very, very good. Have you seen it, man? Very good, sir, very good.
It's good to hear. As mentioned, we're down at Dale Youth. I want to start by talking about that. We've had the kids down today. The fighters on next Friday's Royal Albert Hall, Bill, have been going through their paces. We saw yourself and Daniel Dubois in there as well, all the kids watching on cheering.
Yeah.
Before we get on to Daniel and the Bill, etc., I just wanted to start by asking you about all these kids that we've seen down today. As we know, Dale Youth Gym was one of many things we lost during the Grenfell disaster, among many lives as well. A horrible tragedy. But from that, the gym's been rebuilt. The facilities are lovely. It's a community centre. All the money that gets taken in goes back in the community. How important is it for these kids to have this kind of facility to come down to and to see these fighters down here today?
Yeah, I think it's very, very important for them to see the fighters doing well, because it could be them keeping off the street, keeping away from gun crime, keeping away from knife crime. So it's important to see. The gym, it's very, very sad what happened to it with the people dying and fire and etc. etc. They got the gym built up. All the people who have had the damages done and moving home and whatever, I hope they can get their life together and it'll be very, very good. But it's very, very nice to see the gym open, because it's very, very good for the youngsters and the local community.
As mentioned, we saw you taking Daniel Dubois through his paces today, some pad work, etc. The last time I saw you was actually at the Peacock Gym, just before the Nathan Gorman fight. You were singing Daniel's praises before that fight. When I met you, you were telling me he was a special fighter. Brilliant performance we saw from him against Nathan Gorman in his first real big test. How impressed were you with that performance from Daniel?
Very, very impressed. I mean, they asked me to go up in the ring and all I could remember my foot twitching with the nerves or whatever. But he just done a cool, calculated demonstration and Mr. Gorman, you know what I mean? But I think Mr. Gorman will recover and come back, but he's a special young man. He's 22, he's got the world at his feet, he can punch, he can fight, and he's a humble person, so he deserves to do well.
Yesterday we heard he was voted Boxing Writers Young Boxer of the Year for 2019, an accolade previously won by yourself. Yeah. Do you see him as the finest young fighter we've got on these shows?
Very, very most definitely. Humble, works very, very hard, can punch like a horse, and he's a very, very hungry guy, very, very focused, and he deserves to do well.
Now he takes on the unknown but unbeaten Ebenezer Tete next week. Yeah. Should all go well and he gets the win going into 2020, do you think he's ready to almost be getting amongst that mix, that top mix?
I think he needs a little bit of maturity. He's young, he's a young man. You know what I mean? You don't want to push him, and he's not fully matured, and when he's matured, God help anybody out there, you know what I mean? I'd rather be his opponent than his girlfriend, because he's a big old lump now, and once he's set, he'll be a dangerous human being.
Now, one fight I wanted to touch on quickly, Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallin last weekend in Las Vegas. Did you manage to catch a fight, Frank?
Yeah, I've catched little bits of it, you know what I mean? In fights, some things happen like that. You get a cut, he's a survivor, and, you know what I mean, he's victoriously, you know what I mean? He's been at the ring for nearly 3 years. He's only had about 4 fights and he's got the rust out of his body, and good luck to him. He's victorious, his hands are raised, he's the winner, he's got a cut, he gets stitched up, and I hope everything's all right with him.
Now, we know that fight was meant to be a showcase for Tyson Fury to the American market. He got the win, as you mentioned. Would have preferred not to sustain the cuts. He had to fight a different kind of fight once he sustained those cuts. In a way, do you think that's good for Tyson Fury's profile, that we saw that he can go into a dogfight like that when it's up against him with all these cuts and still prevail? He showed a lot of heart.
Yeah, he showed a lot of heart coming back and going to Deontay Wilder after about 3 fights. So his heart's not really questionable. You know what I mean? He's got heart, he's got determination, he's got boxing skill. He's just a little bit rusty. Once he gets his rust out, he's going to be a very, very hard guy to beat.
You mentioned the rematch with Deontay Wilder, all being well with the cuts.
Respect, boss.
All being well with the cuts and he heals. We're hearing that might be February, the Deontay Wilder rematch. Right, Now he's shook off a bit more of that rust, and you mentioned he had all that time away, and he's coming back in with Deontay Wilder. They've already shared 12 rounds together. How much of a chance do you give him in that rematch, having, in most people's opinion, already won the first fight?
I think I'll give him a big trust, because the rust out of him, he's got a little bit more confidence. He's got the ring rust out of him, and the timing should be there. But Deontay Wilder's not a guy that you can mess around with. He's a dangerous hombre as himself. You can't blink against people like that. But he's from England, Tyson Fury from Great Britain, and I wish him, and I've been praying for him to do very, very well, so he can bring all the money over here and help Boris Johnson get out of trouble.
Now, the final thing I want to ask you about before I let you go, Frank. Anthony Joshua, we know he's going to be rematching Andy Ruiz out in Saudi Arabia in December. I'm not going to go into the details of the first fight and what went wrong. We're past that now. But one thing I wanted to know from your opinion, what does Anthony Joshua have to do differently to win the rematch out in Saudi Arabia?
He's got to be a bit more flexible, use his power, use his boxing skills, and as the Ruiz comes in, use his power coming in and counterpunch him and break him down and knock him out.
How does it differ fighting abroad for a fighter? You know, we saw him make his US debut. It wasn't successful. He was keen not to make any excuses. It was his first time outside of Britain as a professional fighter. How does it differ going and fighting abroad?
Sometimes it's different fighting abroad, but a boxing ring's a boxing ring. When ding ding round one comes, a boxing ring's a boxing ring. So if it's abroad, if it's home, if it's team back too, you know, you got to condition yourself wherever you got to fight. You said that was the last question, but you got another one. Go on, boss.
No, I was just about to finish up, Frank. I was just going to say thank you very much for speaking to us today. And your Geordie accent is immaculate, I must say. So thank you very much for speaking to Boxing Social.
Respect, man. Auf Wiedersehen, man. Cheers.